Hello, mindful friends. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite questions to ask myself and my clients, which is, who am I doing this for? So this question can be applied to anything that we're up to, what we're thinking, what we're trying to achieve and accomplish, who we're being, the chores we're running, our to-do list, our job, in our family. And when we ask it, it's another way of looking into our big why. Why are we doing this? And for a lot of us, the question, who am I doing this for, can really get down into the root of what's actually motivating our thoughts, words, and actions. And oftentimes this who, right, doesn't need to be an actual person in our lives, present in our everyday. Oftentimes it can be kind of past energies or expectations or kind of beliefs that were instilled by this who at some point in our lives that we end up taking on and holding within ourselves and creating our own kind of motivations or beliefs around that initial who. So it's like we're carrying now that initial who around within us. It has kind of become a part of us. But this question still unlocks that kind of trapped in energy of this previous person in our lives or society or we heard it on TV or wherever, a teacher. But it kind of helps unlock where that's stored within us and why we continue to carry those beliefs within us. The ideal answer to this question, right, which the more we ask it, the more we recognize it's definitely not as often as we like that it's this answer of, who am I doing this for? I am doing this for my higher self, for my most heart-centered self. The side of me that knows my true values, that knows what I really want to prioritize, that knows the sources of true happiness and joy and well-being. And that is the person I am taking this action right now for, to help that person grow and continue transforming, and so that I can move more into being that person. And ideally, that person would be the only one that we're looking for true belonging or acceptance or approval from. Because that is the one that gives us, that true sense of love and well-being. And it resides in who we are being. That as we get to be that person more and more, we experience life in a lighter, happier way. It truly takes care of us, which then takes care of the world around us and lets us show up in ways that benefit, our well-being and the well-being of others and the planet. Unfortunately, we have been trained for a very long time to look for that acceptance, belonging, and approval from so many other sources other than higher self. We've been trained to look for it in what our community might think about us, or society, or media, all those people watching our media pages, whoever they are, and what we assume they are looking for to approve of us or tell us that we belong. Maybe for a lot of us it's parents, which have our best interest in mind, right? Try their best, but are human and may themselves not be motivated by and kind of pushed forward by the higher self. So that their influence might actually, their approval and that belonging might be more again on expectation, on what does it look like to have a successful son or daughter? How does that reflect on me? What's most important in my pride? So our little child self, right, that seeks that approval so much of parents, of teachers, of peers, starts to develop these needs to do things based on the values of others or perceived values of society, without asking, what is my higher self wanting here? What are my values? And so we're seeking this belonging and acceptance by trying to prove things to these maybe not even present, but just like energetic feelings of these past who's in our lives. And what we find is that we never arrive. It's like this seeking and this pulling. We're trying to pull acceptance out of the world around us so that we feel better about ourselves, about our situation. But it turns into a constant pull, constantly trying to prove, to do more, to get that perfect image, to have that perfect photo on social media, to get all those likes. And it's a pulling of it out of the world around us so that we can fill ourselves up. But it feels like it's never enough because we're doing it for the acceptance of the wrong person, the wrong who am I doing this for? So we observe that, and I ask myself, I've been leaning into this practice lately and saying, who am I doing this for? And it's so shocking how often I come up with like random, like definitely peers, often society, this community, parents for sure, deep rooted in that. And what I notice is the difference in feeling between when I'm doing it for them, which again, it feels like a pull. Like I said, you're like yanking that out of life, trying to get the approval, and it feels yucky. It feels heavy and kind of like a fight and a struggle. Versus the times, which unfortunately aren't quite as frequent, when I get to say I'm doing this for my higher self. It's a totally different feel. It's light, it's happy, it feels authentic. I can literally feel it coming from my own heart center, and it energizes me. And it fills me up in a way that's super nourishing versus, like I said, the struggle and the pull trying to get this thing from somebody else or the world around me that still leaves me feeling empty. Whereas when I'm doing it for my heart-centered self and I move forward in that way, I actually get a filling up feeling. I get that feeling of satisfaction, contentment, like, oh, it did warm me up. And so there's less of a hole there, like trying to seek approval and belonging from everyone else leaves this hole in you. But trying to lean into that for higher self really does nourish you and fill you up. So this week, I invite you to just curiously start asking yourself that question, even in the small things. If you go and post something on social media, who am I doing this for? When you're cooking dinner or you're running an errand, who am I doing this for? And even the little things can be for higher self because it's something that's nourishing, that's taking care of your well-being or your family. And if that's a value of your higher self, that love, that compassion, Notice how all of a sudden it switches the energy of that task or that doing or that saying and makes it a more nourishing energy, an energy that fills you up and enlightens you. I hope you enjoy that process this week and maybe journal a little bit on it and kind of investigate with curiosity, not judgment. And if you would like to learn more about this, you can join us in group sessions or individual coaching. You can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. And these teachings and many more on living from your heart and your highest self can be found in my book, Living from the Heart, Healing Ourselves So We Can Heal the World, which you can find anywhere you get your print or audio book content. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.